Team Secret proving why they are crowd favorites in this matchup today. Now, when I spoke to James yesterday, he talked about Team Queso and the fact that they are considered strong. Now that I am here with you, I want to be able to know what you thought of their performance here.
About their performance, I expected much more from their performance, and I was a bit disappointed.
Disappointed. I want to know a bit more about that, Azar, because you had a very much of a pop-off game against Acolyte, who is considered a backbone of their team. So when speaking specifically about that Baron Lane matchup, is that where some of the disappointment came from, or is it their team as a whole?
Probably the team as a whole.
Really, really. I mean, part of that, though, came from the fact that you all looked extremely strong as a cohesive unit. When it comes to that first loss of the series that you had on the first day to now, how do you compare your current feeling as a team within this overall competition?
I kind of feel confident now that starting from day one until now, because day one feels like it's already finals. Like Thunder Talk was really strong. So after the game with them, I feel like other matches should be easy for us.
All right, so does that really help you, mentally speaking, to be able to go and kind of get that litmus test against the strong team and then having that confidence to be able to go against a team like Queso and having such a 2-0?
Yes, it helps me.
Yep.
So I was pretty confident that none of them can beat me.
Not many did. I mean, you ended that last game with 13-2, I think. So on the Fiora specifically, how comfortable do you feel on that pick compared to some of the others for the lane?
I think if I use Fiora, nobody can handle me in my lane.
And it really leans into that split pushing style. Is that something that you and the team specifically are comfortable on, or is it more of a response to the meta and its development?
I think it's more a response to the meta.
Any other picks that you think that will maybe come out in the future? Because we've already seen the Renekton, for instance, being a high priority.
I think I have no say to that because we're Team Secret. Let's keep it a secret.
Guys, I see you guys doing this all the time in all of the pictures, so it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Azar, for stopping by after such a tremendous series. Back to the rest of Horizon Cup.
Thank you, Gabby. Welcome back. And let's welcome in Smax. And Smax, welcome. But also, that was one of the most fire interviews I've seen across esports.
That was so much heat. I feel like I could warm up next to the fire and get cozy with a blanket. That'll just keep me warm throughout the winter. That was absolutely incredible. I love the trash talk.
Riku, what did you think about our fellow countrymen?
Azar, you woody man. Secret. It's a secret. I knew it.
All right, well, the confidence flows true there for Team Secret's top lane. But it's time to break down TSM versus ROLSTER Y. Let's start with the Brazilians here, Smax.
I'm really excited about TSM. I came into this tournament expecting them to have a bit of a struggle in their group, honestly. But with the way that they came out the gate swinging, they beat Tribe, which, you know, the hometown heroes for me. I'm a NA caster at heart. I was excited about Tribe, but couldn't quite manage it. They did get reverse swept by TSM. And because of that, this team looks really, really strong. They've got a lot of amazing pieces that are coming together.
Yeah, so if TSM are about hitting, if not slightly exceeding expectations, where are you both landing here on ROLSTER Y? And we'll start with you first, Riku.
Okay, for me, I have to look at, RY here. Ratel, he sets up the sickest of flanks. So if you're going up against RY, vision will be incredibly crucial, especially around Dragon Fights and Rift Herald, especially since TSM also loves to skirmish. So they got to make sure that their backline is safe, especially that they play around Mikey and Pertroni popping off.
Smax?
I'm pretty excited on the other side of ROLSTER, on the other side of their team here for Luna, the new player on the block who just recently got into this team and played his first competitive matches in this tournament. He came in with the crazy powerful Misfortune games and then also the Corki packages, which were so phenomenal. completely out of this world. I loved the performance from him.
Yeah, well, remember, he was the emotional powder keg for the squad. Let's see if he's able to light it up here for ROLSTER in this matchup. It's time to get on into the game. Toss it on over to Rafa and Alk Battery.
Thank you so much, D-Gon. And I've got to say, welcome to the second half of day 3 of our groups for the Horizon Cup. Wild Rift Esports has been kicking off. It's been a blast. I'm joined here by my boy Alk Battery, aka Dimitri Toledo. We've been grinding this since 2018, baby. And you know what? We're casting TSM games. So if we go back to 2018, if we told that to our younger selves, I mean, this is a hell of a journey for us, man.
Exactly. And I mean, there's some other like connections, right? We're talking about the LATAM region as a whole and TSM, who have had a bit of a rocky roller coaster throughout the Horizon Cup, finding their win against Tribe, and then eventually kind of having a really competitive series up against Dakun. So I'm really excited to see what they can do here now in their game 3.
Now, they've got a tough opponent here, Dimitri, because they are going up against the Koreans, the powerhouses in ROLSTER Y, and my goodness. I know when we were doing our prep going into this tournament, we didn't expect them to be that powerful, but their debut performance in day 2, woo, I was filthy. Ratel, absolutely a monster.
Ratel has been honestly really impressive. And again, KT ROLSTER coming into this ROLSTER Y, we thought, okay, maybe the WCK wasn't going to have as much competition going into this. But I mean, so far they were undefeated in their own region. They went 7-0 throughout the regular season and then going into playoffs. And now we're here where hearing from the players talking about them, Korea is really dominant right now. All of the Eastern teams have been looking on fire.
We just cannot doubt the prowess that this roster has been demonstrating for us. Even some kind of sauce and drip on the Rift as well. Una popping out the Misfortune tech with the Sorelta's Grudge Rush. I know when we were in the back watching that game yesterday, we're like, what the hell is this? What is going on? But it worked, and they've got some spicy tech too.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're talking about wacky, spicy builds. We can't just forget about TSM during their grand finals over in the Wild Tour, right? We had a bunch of spicy tech and a tank corky somewhere along the way. We're talking about like awesome stuff going on in the bot lane. So we're looking at this series. I think we've got a really star-studded roster on both sides, and I'm just excited to see what we get once we get onto the Rift.
And it really is going to be a battle in that Baron lane. I mean, we already talked about Ratel being one of the powerhouse Baron laners in this Group A, but then when you look on the flip side and you think about how TSM were able to get some of those crucial wins in that grand finals against WRE, it had to be according to Sonyy.
Sonyy was honestly really instrumental in how we saw TSM as a whole find a bunch of victories. And now here in Horizon Cup, I think we've seen similar things in their game against Tribe. I thought Sonyy had a fantastic game against Chuck, who constantly we saw different kinds of strategies. I mean, we're looking at even the bot lane for a moment here. Pertroni and carliTo had some of the best performances I think we've seen from a bot lane duo so far, just from a LATAM region. And now we get to see as we get right into draft here off of already starting off, taking away Twisted Fate.
Yeah, TSM recognizing that Isaac, a powerful facilitator for this roster in ROLSTER Y. They don't need a Twisted Fate coming into the Baron lane and messing with that sacred 1v1, man. It's all got to be about the honor between Ratel and Sonyy. If you got a Twisted Fate coming in there with throwing out gold cards, that's, I mean, cool teamwork, but that's disrespecting the honor and the sacredity of the 1v1.
I think it's all about keeping Isaac honest, right? We're talking about keeping mid lane honest. Twisted Fate is a way that you can kind of just cheat, get out of that lane. We think of also Galio in that same sense. And coming into this draft, we're talking about Senna being such high priority here at the Horizon Cup. It has been honestly really disgusting to watch and has been 100% pick ban throughout the entirety of the tournament. And now we get to see, does TSM go straight for that Renekton that we've also seen kind of in their hands? Or do we get to see another cheater in the Galio?
TSM have quite a few options here, but when we go back to what Iraqi Zoro brought up at the beginning of the day, the 3 powerhouse Baron laners in the Riven, Fiora, and the Camille. Camille is the one that makes it through the draft. Now, normally in the past, we would have expected this to be a flex between both Tetis and Sonyy, but because of the changes to Camille in the jungle, doesn't quite have that easy time sustaining throughout, it is more than likely just going to be going to Sonyy. But as you said before, Predict is still on the table.
And there you go. Ratel immediately picks it up. We're going to have to see what ROLSTER Y's top laner can do here. He has been fantastic. We're talking about how they set him up for success. It is all about those flanks in positioning. And we've seen Renekton play, even from Sonyy in the Tribe series, do a fantastic job of being able to zone off and find entrances into the backline. So we'll have to see what else they can pick here. Lee Sin, I think, is still on the table, but we've seen Nunu and Willem start to rise in priority as we get further and further into the tournament. And honestly, no surprise there to see him here.
Yeah, ROLSTER Y did not want Tetis to have access to the Lee Sin this game. They're going to go for the Nunu. It does leave the Graves up, though, as a powerful scaling jungling pick if you want for Tetis here. But as you called out, Mikey prioritizing this Galio. Still could go to carliTo in the support role as well. But it looks like they're going to double down on the engage power, making that Cataclysm Heroes entrance a significant combo.
Okay, so TSM, we have engage. We've already determined that. We've got Sonyy on a really nice Camille. We've got the Jarvan, Galio. This is just a bread and butter, very easy to execute composition. But we need damage. And we've seen Lucian be a very good answer for that. We've also seen a lot of Varus so far. But looks like here for ROLSTER, they want to pick up a pretty safe bot lane. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the Rakan also come in, try to disrupt some of that chain.
There it is. And this is a great answer and response, because when you have 3 members that want to just dive onto you, what's the best AD carry to lock in? A Xayah, Featherstorm, boom. Ha ha ha, all the engagement is just completely gone. And then even if there's more follow-up, if TSM are trying to chain it in succession, you still have a Rakan who can charm all of the threats and the divers away from your Xayah.
Now, if you're TSM, I was going to say we were going to talk about AD carries here. I really think that a Braum would do very well in here. It depends on what they're going to pick here. We're talking about the flexibility of Galio. This is the time for TSM to really show their hand. Are we going to pick a support, or are we going to look for something else in the mid lane? Corki could be really good. I think there's enough tanks on ROLSTER that they would need some kind of AP threat. I think also Diana still fits that archetype that we've set up for them in going for those dives.
Damn, dude!
Oh my god, I actually called it. Let's go, boys.
You called like 95% of this draft. Dude, that's...
We take those, you know?
Yeah.
Probability, I probably would have gotten it right at least once. The coin has to land heads at least once.
50-50. Do you want to go to Vegas after this?
You already went. I think we need to explore a little bit more of the world. And talking about exploration, what is ROLSTER Y's last choice? It is for Isaac. We have seen nothing but this Twisted Fate from him. It looks like the Corki pick that I had mentioned earlier is going to come into his hands.
You know, normally we've seen great packages being used out of the side of ROLSTER, but for the rest of the tournament, I think normally when you expect Corkis to be used, it's to follow up on engages, but the package can also be used as a great tool demonstrated. I'm trying to think of which team it was yesterday that their packages were used to just separate members as soon as an engage happened. And in combination with Nunu, you have absolute zero to create all the space for the Xayah even after the engages comes in, so that if the damage follow-ups cannot kind of conga line in succession with the rest of TSM, if this engage force is not all on the same page and they don't do it all at the same time, then a lot of the damage is broken up, and then ROLSTER are able to have a great counter response here.
To answer your question, who was a great team with a great Corki? It was Luna. Luna on this Corki was straight up destroying people. So ROLSTER kind of getting in that same kind of tool bag. Isaac might have to take a few notes. We'll see who's the better Corki on this team. On TSM, I hope later on we get to see who's the better Galio on this team as well. But you are right? There's not a lot of upfront damage. I mean, Galio can go for an AP build here, but it's going to take a long time because he is playing support. Gold generation is not going to be the same as it would be for someone like Mikey. And if the damage, it's a lot of burst. Galio, once you finish that combo, you're kind of waiting on a bunch of your CDs, and rest of the team still, it's going to be on high burst damage from the side of TSM.
Going into game 1, ladies and gentlemen, ROLSTER already having put themselves in a great spot, 1-0 overall in series score with the Group A, whereas TSM, they're 1-1. Getting a win here against ROLSTER Y would cement themselves highly probable to get out of this group going into playoffs, whereas ROLSTER, if they get this win, then they are strongly going to be one of the top 2 seeds getting out.
Yeah, you have to take a look look at the rest of this group, right, we have already Dakun Gaming sitting at 2-0, and for ROLSTER and TSM, they're both sitting at 1 win. Another loss, like you said, probably adds the possibility of a second and third place seed for either of these teams, and you really want to get ahead of the pack. Since they've already beaten Tribe, you're also looking at the rest. You're going to have to go up against an SBTC who is on the trend downwards, and eventually they're going to have to go up against against I think it is Dakun. So that'll be a little bit of some trepidation there.
Potentially the top 2 seeds in that group would be such a hype matchup. ROLSTER, even though they've shown us a great series already in Group A against SBTC, they still have to take down TSM. And I know that TSM didn't have the greatest showing against Dakun Gaming.
What do you mean? Did you see that game too? Pertroni was flashing forward. Take those.
Oh, okay, but you know, you're right. You know,
Faith brother.
Faith brother in the Brazilians already. ROLSTER TSM. No huge moves yet on the map so far. It's only still 1 minute into the game. Notice here, Tetis. He's looking for potentially a bot lane gank angle here.
Interesting. I mean, he is playing Jarvan. You want to try and get off to an early start. They're going to go straight for this.
Beautiful! Justice Punch Flash connects on to Salem. That's first blood for TSM.
Okay, awesome. TSM immediately starting off with first blood. They want to get this wave in under the turret, and now they have a couple of options. They're going to go for this. I think Pertroni and carliTo are a little too low HP, but I like this response coming out from ROLSTER. Immediately, we saw Ratel move into the top side of the jungle, try to get some vision, find out if his camps are up, and that just means that Do on this Nunu get to start taking every single one of those camps, and mine ended up 3 quadrant, which is pretty massive.
And counter jungling isn't even
we're
camp, but we're back for more damage here. Luna under the tower, getting more HP from the honey fruit. It's not going to be enough from TSM. I like the idea, but unfortunately the execution is not enough.
Oh no, and that is heartbreaking. Immediately they try to make a repeat gank. Salem is able to return. It takes so long for them to get back into the lane, and in the meantime, Luna, both of their summoners down. They might even get to kind of zone off Mikey from this way, which would be huge for ROLSTER.
He still has flash. Oh god, that's a lot of damage. Mikey, you can't play around like that no more, fam. Too close to the fire. Gotta take that recall.
Can't get burned on this one. And already I like this coming out from TSM. They notice that, hey, our mid laner has to take a recall, and we're gonna get right into this replay, Rafa. Just take a look at how long Tetis stays in this bot lane.
Yeah, Tetis just great patience. The level 2 doesn't even level 3 because across all of the Runeterra lore, we know that the level 2 power spike in Jarvan is just so damn powerful in Universe.
I mean, he gets literally his entire kit, and then, you know, there's a second ability, it's a shield, like, we worry about that later. It's all about level 2 and level 5, which Tetis has finally reached. And, not much difference in terms of the jungling. Tetis still has a little bit of a gold lead thanks to that first blood, but we're making a repeat gank.
Yeah, flash onto Luna, knows that he has no summoner spells available. Featherstorm might be enough, but it's only delaying the inevitable as TSM will get another kill for themselves onto Pertroni.
Good, making good on that early gank immediately. They know there's no flash, there's no heal on Luna. Ignore the Rakan. This Rakan is going to be slippery no matter what. Get rid of the Lovers duo and kill Zaya. A fantastic job from TSM. And what can they do with this? Because you see they're already making a rotation. I know Excoundrel had talked about it a little bit earlier on in the day, but Rift Herald and the ability to play through your Baron lane is so important thanks to the change in this patch.
Ratel getting a lot of time though and pressure thanks to the amount of love that Doe has been able to answer in response towards the Baron side of the map. However, Sonyy doing a great job of absorbing that pressure and not falling too far behind, making sure that he can reach that Trinity Force power spike within the next couple of minutes. We have Rift Herald and Dragon spawning here, Dimitri.
Yes, this is super important. And look at how TSM, and specifically now ROLSTER, have to respond to a certain set of plays that we've seen in the last couple of seconds. We've now seen that they've moved up into this Baron lane. They're taking the Rift Herald in the meantime. So ROLSTER, after what looked like them getting the shove in mid lane, just say, hey, look, let's just go grab the Dragon and set ourselves up for some easy objective stacks, and maybe try to set Sonyy off on the wrong foot, because so far we haven't seen Ratel find a solo kill. I don't know about this one.
Well, he's a little by himself at the moment. Isaac is rotating on over. We have Sonyy getting pushed off the wave here on the Dragon side of the map. Looks like Isaac was... Where did Ratel go? Don't tell me. Okay,
he went back to mid lane.
Okay. They kind of escorted him back. He's like, don't worry, buddy, I got you. You're safe here. And ROLSTER, because they had been able to delay TSM on that Baron side of the map, they're the ones that get first break.
I love the lane allocations that we've been seeing. I know this, I think, happened in the first series today, but we've been seeing a lot of AD carries pairing up with junglers to slowly but safely attack with the turret. So a tier 1 does go in favor of ROLSTER first, so a little bit extra gold there. But now we're going to get to see what looks like a more even game. If you remember yesterday's game, I might have to hold this as this is a really interesting flank from the side of TSM. They didn't have vision of this, and I don't know if they still have vision, but Ratel has to notice something is off.
He's diving under the turret. I can't even get my words out because I'm so flabbergasted that TSM just pulled that off.
Oh my god, Ratel almost hit the honey fruit. We saw last game versus Team Queso what happens when a specific top laner is able to pick up on the honey fruit. That's going to be a kill. It's going to be another turret. And something that we didn't get to see yesterday in their game against SBTC, ROLSTER Y with Ratel, who's at a deficit here.
By targeting the main carry, the primary resources for ROLSTER, you're putting ROLSTER at a deficit. Ratel, he's going to have to find a way to get back into this game. ROLSTER have to deal with all the pressure that is crumbling all around them. The mid-tier 1 is not going to go down yet, though, but a lot of damage sets up for TSM on the next push.
Some plates there, and an important thing to notice here. In the next 2 minutes, obviously, we'll see some of those objectives start to respawn, but in the picture-in-picture, I think we also got to see that even though Sonyy is so far up and has his, almost Trinity Force completed here, Ratel, with that Black Cleaver and with how efficient it is compared to the Trinity Force, almost killed this Camille, blew the flash from him. So we'll have to see if they can maybe kind of repay this in kind later from ROLSTER, but already, that was a swift set of plays that have set the gold even for TSM.
It's been quite an impressive early game for TSM, but you have to look back at and kind of like see the parameters that is being set in. The fact that it's not a massive gold lead for TSM, but just to stabilize with ROLSTER can just shows you how strong of an opposition that TSM are going up against in this Korean power.
Yes, at least ROLSTER, they're not willing to go down without a fight. They're going to trade you on objectives. They're going to look to do something on the cross map, and that's what we saw when they were going for the gank in the bot lane to try and kill Ratel. You saw the rest of ROLSTER start to overload on the Baron side of the map and try to find a kill, try to overforce with this turret. So, love to see that. You also love to see when you're support and you're just trying to back, it's just Fog of War. You think, okay, it's cool. And suddenly the winds of that same war come down. Really annoying. I'm glad that carliTo, at the very least, can be a nuisance for ROLSTER.
He's just really, hammering it in for Ratel. I mean, Ratel is already receiving so much.
Lot of pressure.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of love from TSM, not in the kind that you would actually want to receive. Tough love we'll go for in this match.
I think he might be receiving a little bit more.
No, man. Well,
Ratel,
he might just turn back to the minion wave and try to get some, but he's not going to have a chance here. It's just a bounce house between these three. Remember at the beginning of the draft, Dimitri, Camille, Jarvan, Galio, all drafted primarily for TSM, and they had one target in mind, and it's that Crocodile.
Exactly. They want to take away some of the best performing members from yesterday's performance, and now Ratel, a little bit down on this Renekton, is just going to have to be a primary engage now. You're thinking of the Sterix, you're thinking of the Stone Plate. He's going to need to just jump right into the backline and look for a backline member. And now we're going to see a kind of a swap from what we saw about 4 minutes ago. TSM now taking the Dragon, while ROLSTER start up this Rift to O.
And they're going to definitely need it because they want to be able to crack that mid-tier 1. Despite ROLSTER losing a lot on the pressure being absorbed by Ratel, they're still maintaining gold across the rest of their members here. Most of their players are keeping even with their opposition here. The only person that's really experiencing a gold deficit is really just Ratel, but it's answered back when you look at the mid lane, how much gold Isaac has over Mikey.
Yeah, and we have to take a look. I actually might just have to hold that. TSM.
Hextech ultimatum onto Ratel. Here comes the hero's entrance. The rest of ROLSTER try to scatter out, but it's a beautiful response from Salem, knocking up multiple members of TSM. The Moonfall's there, but no damage follow-up from the rest of TSM. ROLSTER answers back.
Yes, and they immediately get slapped down. ROLSTER able to find some kills and gotta find a response. That's a huge engage from Salem.
Luna wants to go forward, but that means Tetis can lock him down into the Hextech ultimatum, but he flashes over. He takes out Pertroni, and Luna walks out safely.
We're talking about AD carries that are flashing forward when Luna wants to join the party, as it does not stop here, Rafa. ROLSTER want to keep finding more and more, but TSM, after taking a few blows, are finally going to be able to recall.
Oh man, we gotta take a look at that Axe replay right there. Jesus.
It's just so close, man. We're talking about the 0.1% replay. Well, here you go. Straight up coming in from ROLSTER. It's that knockup from Salem, and the rest of his damage dealers can come on in and just clean house. I don't know if we're going to get the rest of this play, but there is a really crucial part of this when we see Luna go in. Sonyy is not able to get the rest of his tack sweep down, so small margins there that allow for ROLSTER to eventually come out really far ahead, I think.
And it just goes to show that when we talked about TSM's composition, that it is how crucial it is for all of the pieces of the Wombo combo to sync up. That time, it was only carliTo on the hero's entrance, the initial engage. We're going to look for another one, though. Sonyy and Tetis are there, but the re-engage from Salem blocks him down. Pertroni cannot once again access the backline because the rest of ROLSTER are doing such a damn good job of screening the damage away.
They focused the wrong member. Ratel, the angry Croc, says, hey, I might be down, but the rest of my team is on the up and up. They're going to get kills. They're going to get a third turret here, finally breaking down the mid-tier 1.
These counter responses from ROLSTER have just been so incredible to watch because the rest of them. Okay. All right, Tetis, you know, he felt the breeze on that one. He felt the snowballs approaching a little too closely there to the booty cheeks, but it's okay. For the rest of ROLSTER, looking back at how these counter responses is just crucial to their success.
Yeah, we're talking about how fast this engage can come in from TSM, but there was just a few too many ultimates being down at this point. We saw the engage right onto Luna, but then the rest of his damage dealers were not there. That's something we talked about in the draft, that you have this core 3, the Camille, the Jarvan, and the Galio, but the damage needs to also be there when you go for those engages. So they try to lock him down. They're not able to lock down the Lovers duo, and at that point we see ROLSTER just completely take over this fight. And now, Rafa, I do want to point our eyes ahead for this match. We do see that this is a little bit of an even game state starting to go in the favor of ROLSTER, but when you look at what TSM's comp wants to do, it's very, very short range, where the double marksman here for ROLSTER mean objectives go down incredibly fast. We're talking about turrets as well are at threat, and such a low range composition from TSM's mean they need to go fast. They need to find that burst damage.
And one of the crucial things as well for the side of ROLSTER is watching how Isaac uses the package. Normally we talked about in Corki games before, it's all about engage, but this time around, if you get Isaac to flank and then layer the package down where TSM are engaging and have already committed on, they're sitting on top of just burning magic damage, and that is going to just fry TSM Sunny side
I
up.
will note, something that is going well for TSM, not necessarily because of their own doing, ROLSTER are not properly playing around Corki package timing, and this is one of the times where the Corki package has been used on time for a reset and on time for an objective that is spawning. I don't know how effective it'll be because I don't think TSM is going to go for this. They're not going to try and attend this dragon fight. They're going to just look to overpower the mid lane. Maybe with the speed that we see from No on this Nunu, maybe they might fight for priority.
But because Isaac has this package, he can always defend it. If TSM were ready to commit for that turret dive, Featherstorm would delay it, package would come right on top of it and punish the over-aggression for TSM. The only thing that they can get is a couple of strikes into that tier 2 turret, knocking it down to 50% HP, but still, TSM's window starting to run out here, and already we look back at the first couple minutes of the game where TSM were so proactive, so successful shutting down Luna. We throw up that scoreboard, he's like 5-1, he's got 10,000 gold,
Yep.
12,000!
Oh my god, this guy is really fed. I would love to be this kind of
I thought they ganked this guy, Dimitri, I thought they put him in the dirt, what
they
happened?
got the one kill, and everything after that just kind of went sideways for TSM. ROLSTER doing a fantastic job, and something that I wanted to note from their last series as well was just how well they were controlling vision, not only just for Ratel, but making sure that if the opponent ever went for any kind of plays, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, trying to stop this as well. So the vision denial is so key for ROLSTER. TSM, even despite having such a long lane in the Baron lane, now as they come back onto the map, are going to have to try and fight for vision into this river.
Yeah, notice triple stasis. Tetis jumps over the wall with the blast cone. I don't think he really wanted to be there. Takes a face full of slime from Doe. It's not the slime factor, boys, but still, we're on a game show of some sort. ROLSTER just taking absolute control of the show.
That is a loose interpretation of the word game show. It is literally a show and literally a game that we are watching. So I appreciate how effective we're going with that. Look at this engage.
Oh, can we appreciate the re-engage, though, from ROLSTER? Hero's entrance is going to lock him down. Cataclysm catches out, too, but beautiful stuff from Luna. Dodges out with the Featherstorm. Salem caking critically low. Will fall. Mikey on the back line, already eliminating one, but will fall in response. Tetis trying to lock up Isaac. They go for it. TSM take down 3.
Oh my god, and look at how tanky they are. They're just so resilient. It was kind of a mismatched fight there for ROLSTER. And with Sonyy splitting on the opposite side of the map, TSM, they play away from the fight. They are so far behind. And ROLSTER, they end up falling down. I kind of want to see the replay as to where exactly some of the damage members from ROLSTER were. Yeah, look at this. I mean, Isaac and Luna are just not hitting people, and I hope you know this. I hope everybody at home knows this. If you're a marksman and you're not hitting someone, do 0 damage.
You have to give props to Mikey being finally commits and is able to sync up with Tetis on that Cataclysm engage.
They're doing Baron.
Picks up, oh my god, they're just gonna
Get
go
out
for
of
the
this
Hail Mary.
Let's see it,
4,000 HP. Doe's not gonna be there in time. 1,800. The spike comes through. Tetis, the rest of TSM secure Baron.
They get Baron. That's an incredibly smart call coming out from TSM. ROLSTER not in position, not able to come back out on the map and redeploy. So now, Rafa, we're in a game where TSM, it has been neck and neck between these two. Yes, it's been ROLSTER with an advantage for, you know, the mid portion of this, but they're looking like they don't want to go down without a fight. They are still trying to keep it competitive here.
And you have to remember that this is the same attitude that carried them through that grand finals in their home region against So Agradece, a team that they had struggled to play against throughout the entire Wild Tour series and entire league. TSM are not gonna go down without a fight.
We're talking about also a lot of regional firsts here. Remember, ROLSTER, at least for here, the Horizon Cup, we haven't seen anything else. Luna goes incredibly low thanks to the Sorelda's Grudge combo coming out from Pertroni. But a new mid laner here for Isaac, and this would be the first loss that ROLSTER have experienced in a few months.
TSM on the doorsteps of ROLSTER. They have the 1-3-1 set up here. Mikey corralling Baron minions through the Baron lane. Sonyy on the Dragon lane. The rest of the 3-man core from TSM pushing in through the mid lane, and ROLSTER are scrambling to try and figure out which lane to respond to first.
It's all of these marksmen. They need to land damage. TSM, they're incredibly tanky. They can play this very patiently. Wait for the minion waves. Let the minions take away these turrets. You already see the inhibitor on the top side is a 3rd HP. And if anything, as a failsafe, they can push one more wave and go for this dragon. Force ROLSTER to come to you and look for something.
Yeah, but then you can always have Mikey. If he's stronger than Ratel, he can force ROLSTER to answer in the split push as well. Now, Isaac had to use package because they're trying to cut off the minion wave. One inhibitor turret will go down. The Dragon Lane inhibitor turret just needs a couple more pushes. Maybe the touch of the breeze from the wind will knock it down at this point with how low the HP is.
Observers, if you could, I would just love to see the bot lane inhibitor, how much HP it is.
Sam Price, give us the details, brother.
I don't know who's on our ops, but if you call, if that actually is him, that's a pretty sick call.
Elton, Adam, who's on duty?
You're just calling all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
One of
if
you.
You get all of them. You can't possibly miss, right?
TSM now corralling towards this Elder Dragon. Tetis forcing the rest of ROLSTER back into the choke. And they're succeeding it. This dragon can be burnt down very quickly if TSM act fast.
Yes, they do have Pertroni here, but look for how ROLSTER Y enter into this. Ratel is not here.
Oh,
good look for a teleport.
Doe flushes right back in, but if they take out the jungler, there's no consume, no smite. That's the jungler gone for ROLSTER. The rest of TSM try to access to the backline. Watch Isaac, watch Luna. These are the carries that can try and save the team fight for ROLSTER. TSM, they've lost out on Mikey. Tetis still has Cataclysm available, but he needs to wait for a potential re-engage. 5,000 HP on the Dragon's gonna reset. Rest of ROLSTER looking for the re-engage here. Stasis onto Tetis. The knockup is there. Cataclysm onto the backline, but Ratel slices and dices through the TSM jungler. Sony's in there! Hook shot onto Luna and Isaac. Luna's there. The Stasis with the rest of TSM. They have the HP advantage, and they will slay ROLSTER to the ground.
And oh my god, the undefeated team coming out from Korea is now going to fall in game 1. There's a couple of recall BMs. They noticed, hey, there's no jungler here. It's time to fight. TSM, they find an amazing team fight for themselves. They take out ROLSTER, and with a final kill and an ace, TSM are going to take game 1.
2 seconds on Doe. Wait, they can't actually go,
God.
Though, because the minions are there. Doe, the single survivor, but a teleport is coming in, I believe, from Sonyy.
That's it.
That should be it. Mikey is also there, 1,000 HP on the Nexus. And ladies and gentlemen, TSM taking a game off of ROLSTER from Korea.
Talk that trash talk, Mikey. There you go. This is why I love the player camps here. This is why I love getting to see the players on screen. He's slamming his desk just like us. He's getting hype. TSM, rightfully so, had a fantastic performance. We're not able to pull out a win yesterday, but today, they're looking good, and they're looking at some of the favorites coming out from yesterday. That was a sick game, Rafa.
Dude, Mikey in that interview before going into this series said, you know what? We know that ROLSTER are undefeated right now. They looked strong in yesterday's series. We could beat them.
Yeah.
And look at that. Mikey's the one that pops off in the end as well. Now it's game 1. We know earlier today, I saw Ebro also take a game off of Sengoku Gaming, and I was like, okay, that's winnable, and then they came in reverse swept. Now, TSM got to keep their heads in the game.
Yes.
Remember what made them successful in this game 1, getting ready for game 2, and they could potentially carry that momentum forward.
You know, just as a whole, the LATAM region is a very emotional region, right?
Yes.
We're talking about a lot of heart, a lot of spirit there, and those are the kinds of guys that they can take a game 1 emotional roller coaster and just ride it on through to a victory. And I don't want to talk too much about the players on KT or on ROLSTER, but they look stunned after that. They looked a little bit out of that, look a little bit shook. So we'll have to see what they kind of have in the tank here for game 2.
Definitely have to go to the drawing board. As for us, we're going to be recharging, but when we come back, it will be sending it over to the analyst desk with Dagon, Smax, and Riku to break down TSM's victory in game 1.
Thank you very much, Rafa. And y'all, TSM take themselves the win, and we weren't able to get your predictions on the broadcast, but you both told me behind the scenes that you had ROLSTER winning either 2-0 or 2-1. So what's going on here, Smax?
I think I had a 2-0 for ROLSTER. Yeah, I did. There it is on the screen. So a little bit tough. Past Smacks, not a believer in the Brazilian boys. But man, oh man, that was really, really exciting, really entertaining stuff. I loved the strategy that they came in with that.
Yeah, and Riku, you're not off the hook either. You had a pick here that seems to be in jeopardy.
Yeah, I could still be right. I could still be wrong. But either way, that game 1 was just incredibly explosive. And TSM really, really matched, you know, RY in the team fights. It was just so fiery.
Yeah, and it started in the draft. Riku, what jumped out at you as we take a look at it?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the TSM composition, this is very Wombo Combo classic, Venn diagram, all the circles, Moonfall, Cataclysm, Hero's Entrance, you name it. And your only consistent damage there is going to be Pertroni. And if you land everything, great. If you don't, then you're in trouble because you don't have a way out. You don't have that disengage. But everything else just fell into place. And I really, really love how they approached this game.
Yeah, and I especially like the way that they drafted this full engaged composition, but still had a tool to deal with the Xayah, because Xayah does have a lot of self-peel that she can provide for herself. She goes up into the air, you can't target her. She has the feathers she can drag right back and snare all of her assailers, but with this Jarvan, you can't fly over the wall. You'll still get trapped in the Cataclysm every single time. And I really love that strategy to still have many, many tools to beat down this star 80 carry on ROLSTER's squad.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see TSM there doing the huddle, making a circle with their bodies, circles with their skills, circles with their logos.
Hey.
It's all the game plan here for TSM as we take a look at the match highlights one more time here. And it was a longer one that went both ways early on. TSM funneling the Lucian, but then the big plays coming out of the Xayah. But then TSM come back with this huge wombo combo here, Smax.
I really, really love team compositions like this because it all comes down to how you play the 5v5 fight. And for TSM, this is not something that I think we were really expecting them to be able to do this magnificently against a team like ROLSTER, who did just show us 2 great wins just yesterday playing 5v5 compositions. But as you can see here, it's really working out for them. They're really making these team fights work, and it's by the thinnest of margins.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Tetis is able to hold on to the Cataclysm at the edge of his siege, at the very, very last few moments of this team fight is just so crucial. Being able to serve to basically trap Luna, just as you mentioned, Smax. And I think those decisions, those micro decisions, really make a huge difference in winning these 5v5s.
Yeah, and I think right there, maybe an accidental stasis, like it just felt a little bit out of place. I think Luna saw the opportunity to rifle in a couple more feathers to get the blade caller to come on through, but it didn't quite work out there. Maybe a bit of nerves, but again, TSM coming out swinging. And Smax, you wanted to highlight the point that you made earlier with some video footage, the Jarvan pick against the Xayah, because a lot of the time Xayah thinks self-peel.
Yeah, and as you can see, with the way that this gank starts out, just moving into the river, not quite sure if the gank is actually going to begin, but then carliTo, what an opener on this Galio into the level 5 for Jarvan on this next play, where we can see this Cataclysm and all the Venn diagram just all popping off, all stacking up onto one member. It works in the team fights, it works for picks. I really love this pick of the Jarvan here for Tetis.
Yeah, and it just works so well with TSM with what they wanted to do, right? They want to funnel gold to Pertroni constantly. From the gangs to bot lane, they rotate him top for Rift Herald, open that portion of the map, plates go to him, and he catches mid-wave after. And then I love how they pivot to shut down Ratel, most importantly. So therefore, -1 problem. They only had to deal with Luna because at that point, Ratel as the Renekton, had to win early, but he didn't get to do that because of the way that TSM dealt with the early game.
All right, so then sounds like the game plan has been laid out for TSM. Riku, then, how do you counter that if you're coach of ROLSTER?
You know what? I want to see the misfortune back again for Luna. Again, the way that the bullet time just creates so much space in these Dragon, Elder Drake fights, most importantly, I feel like it could be another answer against TSM's 5v5.
Max?
I feel like the Galio ban has to come through. It looked so good against Tribe. It looked so good in this first game. And the games that TSM lost, the series that they lost, Galio was banned the entire way through. I feel like you got to look to that as a point of attack.
And you take a look at this TSM squad now just sitting on stage ready to roll here. And, we've seen the passion backfire before. The casters on the desk saying the LATAM region, the Brazilian region, known as a very passionate fan base, player base, region. And they definitely want to go ahead and continue on that line with their victory here, but I feel like they're a little focused here, Smacks.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the new plan of attack that they have, and like I said, this team looks like an entirely different beast when carliTo was on this galley. I mean, he's pulling out moves that I didn't even know were possible. The Justice Punch flying in and then flash redirect, amazing stuff. And then that's not even where Galio's at his strongest either. The team fights really where it explodes for TSM. So if they get this pick again, it'll look great.
We see the pictures on stage there. It looks like we're just making sure that everyone is feeling comfortable here in Singapore. Such a fantastic venue put in place here across the world and really bringing everyone together and really tying the knot on how international this game is and a venue for quite the spectacle here, Riku.
Yeah, it looks incredible. The stage is incredible. I really, really love the team walkouts, most especially. Well, of course, on top of the games. But yeah, I'm just looking to see whether or not TSM is going to move forward with, playing around Pertroni, putting Mikey on more of this utility, being able to provide for that additional setup for the 5v5 team fights. And, I think that formula has worked before. And the fact that, again, there's only 3 bans that you can only consume. And we talked about how Pertroni can play a lot of these 80 carries. It doesn't matter. Lucian, Ezreal, Senna, he can play them all.
Now, Smacks, we saw you tweet a couple days ago. Be warned, we have security on hand to escort you out of here. If you try to steal our Darius axe, what's going on?
Okay. First of all, I did not know that I had snitches in my midst. Somebody on production, who is it? Is it you? Is it you?
It was me, fool!
Rafa!
Smacks, you tweeted it, man. There's no snitches if you snitch on yourself, but you can see it one more time on the solo here for Smacks. It's right behind him. We'll see if it's there at the
It's within arm's reach. Just right there. I can go reach out and grab it. See, there it is. Look. Now, it's a pretty big piece to steal, so I might have to think smaller for now, but I'm dreaming big.
All right, well, we'll get to see if TSM close out the series or if ROLSTER are able to steal a win. Rafa and Alk Battery, take it away.
Thanks, Degon. And Smacks, I'm just keeping you in check, man. No one man can have all that power, so I'm watching you, buddy.
I think that axe is taller than he is, so he might have to rethink. I like his strategy, might think smaller on that one, but I'm not a snitch. I would never do that. Oh, there he is. Okay. We're going straight up.
He's actually trying to... See? He tried to get away with it while we were showing the rest of the teams.
It is
you ain't
actually
slick?
just straight up taller.
You ain't slick, boy.
And it's slanted.
Get back to your spot.
Anyway, Mark, we do actually have a series on our hand. Contrary to popular belief, we are in Game 2 here for ROLSTER Y versus TSM.
TSM, man. All I'm going to say is that ROLSTER definitely have to change things up going into Game 2 for the draft phase. I like what the analyst desk was talking about, trying to take away some of that engage and team fight power away from TSM. Galio potentially being the key here.
Yes, and I talked about it a little bit during the draft where we were like, this is a very easy to execute composition, right? I know that the desk talked about it a ton. The Venn diagram is actually just a circle composition.
Yeah.
But just because it's easy doesn't mean it's it should be belittled. They came out to try and get a win, and if the strategy, it's on your opponent to say, hey, your strategy is a little too simple, we can easily break it. TSM just were kind of really resilient, especially in the mid game where we saw ROLSTER really start to throw some curveballs to them.
Yeah, and I think that's where I also wanted to go regarding game 1 as well, is that TSM didn't just wipe the floor with ROLSTER. ROLSTER had really great responses in the mid game, and there's even a moment where like, oh god, TSM ran out of steam. Luna's still insanely fed despite being the recipient of multiple ganks from Tetis in the early game. Ratel's still able to provide in team fights despite being also the recipient of multiple ganks. But then it was the coordination, the synchronization of Mikey and Tetis both landing the Cataclysm into easy moonfalls. Once the two backliners were taken out from ROLSTER, no damage, no composition.
I think also talking about that continuation of a lot of firsts here for not only ROLSTER but TSM, this is their first win on blue side. They've been playing almost exclusively red, and their only blue side loss is against Tribe. That series obviously didn't go the way of North America, as we may have, some of us would have hoped.
You know what? The Westerners will proudly adopt any Western region that does well in an international competition.
True, except against their own competition. However, disregarding my own North American region bias, TSM have finally found a win on blue side, which is important because they've played 5 games so far, not including that last one, and it has been red side for 4 out of those 5 games.
Well, we are in the draft for second
and they're
game,
on red again,
gentlemen, and as you mentioned before, TSM red side here. Riven, Camille being banned off the table, recognizing that, hey, ROLSTER might want to look at that Camille if it was on the table for them going to the first pick. Fiora also being blocked away. Now, things like the Renekton, the Lee Sin still a priority that could be on the table here.
Galio as well, and I think ROLSTER are going to kind of commit to the fact that Twisted Fate may be available, depending on what TSM. I was actually wondering who was going to eat the Fiora ban this time around. It seems like ROLSTER are not willing to first pick it, or not willing to give TSM the opportunity for it. And it seems like they are very much in tune. If they can't get Ratel's Camille, we're going to get him Renekton. We're going to try that again.
TSM still going with the Jarvan in response.
Galio.
Ratel going for the Renekton. Now, he might feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that there isn't a Camille on TSM side as well. Still could be a Darius, still could be a Pantheon as well, as we've seen from Sonyy against Tribe, as well as in their grand finals against OFAs.
That's actually what I did want to notice here for TSM is what other top lane are we going to see? Because we've seen the Darius Renekton matchup. It's the most famous one here at the Horizon Cup, but hasn't really been going super well. We haven't seen a lot of Darius success, in my opinion. But it is just a really good tank, a really great bruiser when you need him to be. And so now for ROLSTER, what is their kind of choice here? Because I think they're going to continue this trend of late picking Isaac. Corki is still a flex, I think. Obviously, what we saw from Luna yesterday was awesome. They're going to keep it open for themselves in terms of their options.
All right, now I need you to predict the next 5 picks here.
Oh,
this
no.
This is too scary to be good.
Yeah, there's a Rakan potentially. I don't know if Zaya is going to be another champion, but we need to think about Lucian and Braum here. I think Braum would be really excellent for TSM.
He's done it again!
Okay, I only got Lucian. We don't know if there's a Braum, but Rafa, as we get further into this draft, and you know, the picks, we can start honing them down. What do we think ROLSTER could potentially look for as a response? We're gonna let this. Ralph was holding his breath to see whether or not I'm right.
Okay.
It could still be Braum later. I'm gonna, hold that out for them. But they've now taken the Nunu as Doe has gotten themselves the center earlier.
And this is an interesting flip up here. So we're definitely seeing Sonyy taking the Jarvan up into the lane against Ratel. Definitely an easy way of kind of opting out of the Renekton matchup that normally could be very brutal for a lot of Baron laners. However, taking that Summon Airy, you poke out the Renekton, both Dragon Strike as well as the flag. And then you can just kind of bypass the lane until you get to level 5 and then, all right, tank duty, I get to engage now. But with Nunu here, you have decent engage potential, but also decent kiting potential, being able to set up space. But I know we're looking at the Alistar, and we're looking at that Zed for Isaac.
I mean, there's an Alistar on my screen. There's a Zed on my screen. I don't know how to feel particularly. I'll wait to see what TSM's final pick here is, but They still have a pretty good Venn diagram composition. And Mikey is going to reach down deep into his pool. We want to see Assassins, Mark. We've been seeing a lot of this, a lot of the Zed. It's going to be Fizz, the trickster.
It's not December 25th, but it already feels like the holiday season. I just opened up a big present, and we're getting Assassin v Assassin in the mid lane. It's more than what I ever asked for, Dimitri, here in day 3 of Horizon Cup.
No control mages, no silly tanks in the mid lane. We're just going straight up damage. We want to talk about the coin flip. We want to talk about getting yourself to an early lead. If Fizz or Zed die once, that is probably going to spell very bad news for either sides of the coin here for both of these teams.
And then the great thing about this particular matchup here is that normally Fizz has... We've only seen Fizz in competitive play and Inklings, at least coming from the North American 700 Series and the qualifiers, in the jungle, because you could get through clearing the jungle camps relatively fast using taking fleet footwork. You don't have to interact with the lane because Fizz's lane control is pretty abysmal. You cannot deal with control mages, but against Zed, who is looking to harass you and look for all-ins, Fizz gets to negate it because anytime he goes in with a death mark, haha, title, playful trickster, and then you just dodge out on all the bursts.
Agreed. Now, there is a funny thing that we could take a note of. It's more of like a kindergartner's game where we're talking about let's count the tanks. TSM, they have picked 3 tanks. You've got the rest of your team set up. You've got the Jarvan top lane. You've got Nunu. You've got, I think that was Galio, but Green is already turned off.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple for you, right? We're talking about providing frontline for your 2 backline damage dealers, which is going to be the Fizz and the Lucian for TSM. Whereas on the side of ROLSTER, you've got a Renekton, you've got a Lee Sin, and an Alistar. Now, I don't know about you, but those are not exactly, if we're talking about numbers just by the whole, it's 3-2 in terms of kind of tanky champions. And when you look at ROLSTER, I think that might be a little bit too much disruption for them to handle.
And when we even think about ROLSTER as like pure tanks, Renekton's not purely a tank.
No.
Lee Sin's not purely a tank.
He's a bruiser.
Yeah, both bruisers,
Can be.
both pretty mobile. So they can bypass some of the crowd control that TSM have, but they can't bypass all of it. And I think that is going to be the key. So it really is going to be on Salem and Luna to put in a lot more work on engage duty to open up space for Isaac to then access Pertroni. Because he can't really take out Mikey in these fights. It has to be the Lucian that goes in.
Wow, and that's the Ignite immediately away from Mikey. We've seen it now 2 games in a row. Early on, Isaac has gotten the better of Mikey in the laning phase, so important to watch. I did want to set up here for us. This entire game is predicated on mid lane. Thanks to these 2 picks and how the compositions have kind of rolled out for them. If Fizz or the Zed get ahead, that is just the game. They really can't allow for them to kind of continue to scale. There's not a lot of options there. And while there are tanks on TSM, if Zed gets to a monstrous state, if we're talking about a 2,000 to 3,000 gold lead pretty early on, that is untenable for TSM or for ROLSTER as we get further here.
Tetis arrives to the party early to make sure that he can help Mikey push out this lane. Very crucial, as you already noted before. Mikey feeling the brunt of the pressure from Isaac, forced his own ignite, but Isaac is...
Oh, they're counter diving. What?
Oh, crap. Doe is here ready for the counter gank, but can Mikey make the difference here for this counter dive? And TSM, they don't find anything. Isaac is here, throws out the Living Shadow, gets some shurikens and Shadow Slash as well, but TSM, no casualties here.
Yes, and for TSM, you notice they're already trying to force off Luna and Salem from the wave. Forcing some summoners away from this Alistar is important. And Nunu's right on back into the mid lane. Isaac gets out with a second.
Whoa! carliTo has been immaculate with the Justice Punch Flash, but it's too much damage from Isaac and Doe. Now they're turning it around. Tetis, one more auto attack from Doe. It's not going to take him down. Tetis will be able to live, but First Blood this time around goes over to ROLSTER.
Rafa, what just happened? They roamed into the mid lane, and it completely backfires. Slippery and honestly great hands coming out from Isaac to dodge on out all of those abilities and get under the safety of his turret for the First Blood. We get a replay of this. This is just impressive stuff from Isaac, who you don't get to see this kind of mechanical play come out from someone on Twisted Fate, but Zed gives you all the opportunity for this.
Yeah, Doe wasn't even involved in the death of carliTo. That was all Isaac being able to answer back all that damage and dodging out on Tetis' gank. It just it was a little mind game that was going on there where Tetis was trying to anticipate if Isaac was going to flash early or try to use the Living Shadow to get away, which is why Tetis was just holding the line. But it's really hard for Mikey to commit and fight when he's already used both of his gap closers up in that skirmish exchange. So Isaac just, a game of patience, gets out and he outplays it.
carliTo believes in the faith of his mid laner and gets punished immediately. Tries to make the flash. I respect it. We were talking about carliTo on Galio, and he's looked fantastic on it. I hope that not one mistake is going to doom him, but without level 5 on this Fizz, it is super hard for TSM to look for it. So they're going to help their mid laner out, get the shove, get him level 5, try to look for something as Dragon spawn in the next 40 seconds.
TSM dragging a lot of their resources from Pertroni and carliTo, trying to assist in Mikey in this matchup. Because now that Mikey is level 5, it is a
little bit easier.
It's a little bit easier to dodge out on the burst from Isaac and be able to threaten and answer back with that Chum the Waters, but still, it's going to take a while before Mikey does come online with this.
I want to watch what we see from here, because now Zed is in a position to carry this game. Isaac, with a little bit of a lead, now needs to spread his influence. Otherwise, we're seeing a relatively even game. Ratel has a small lead, an item component now finished for him, and we're talking about what objectives are now spawning on the map. Which one do ROLSTER go for? They have first stay out on the map. It looks like the Rift Herald is their answer choice. This is warded, but look at right now, TSM, they're fighting on bot side. Pertroni.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a really long range.
Isaac went deep in the paint just to take out Pertroni, man. Heal and flash both used, but TSM are going to commit the rest of their resources to try and burn down this turret. Isaac is still here, even though he doesn't have it. Oh, he flashes forward. He just takes out Pertroni. He's like, I don't care. There's 1v2, 1v3 people. I'll give my life for the cause, but he will delay the first brick from going down. And look at ROLSTER comboing this objective chain right into potentially first brick for them as well.
And this is ultimately incredibly worth here for ROLSTER. They just got another kill. Yes, they had to sacrifice Isaac. They are going to give away another turret. They got another mid push. They got another crash in this Rift Herald. They're going to continue to do this, giving resources over to their solo lanes. While in the meantime, ROLSTER-wise, their bot lane saying, hey, look, we're just scaling. We're just good. Finding that kill onto Pertroni after both of the summoner spells were already used is a fantastic look for ROLSTER.
And many people can wonder, looking potentially at this replay, that it looks like Sonyy was trying to delay the Rift Herald here, but all for naught. But people wonder, like, man, Isaac really willing to give his life for that, but it's not just about the kill, it's about ensuring that TSM don't get that first brick push there in time. He bots, he buys a lot of time, and gives ROLSTER the opportunity to sneak that in.
Now, for TSM, if you're a Brazilian fan, if you're looking forward to this team, there is some upside here. They did give over a ton of gold, and now Mikey is caught back up. It was almost 1,000 gold lead for the Zed, and now that has cleared up. We haven't seen much out of these two, so now we're gonna have to shift our focus as to what else is that? What is the next play for both of them? They're looking proactive, and it might just be the bot lane.
Isaac was trying to
Dodges?
wait out on the Chum the Waters with the death mark, but he still goes down because the rest of TSM have brought the cavalry. ROLSTER answer back with Doe and Salem. No one else goes down, but still TSM walk away with the Zed dead.
Talking about great hands, Mikey barely misses out and is able to dodge Salem's Alistar combo, which is very hard. I'm just going to say that right now, right? Like, you can see it coming from a mile away. It is headbutt pulverized, but still able to get that off is really impressive. And so now, for the side of TSM, what else can they get from this? They're going to get this shove into mid lane and start to get more and more items. The mid lane is kind of feeling pretty nice. Talking about also a couple of other things finished. Sonyy and Ratel, this matchup has gone pretty quietly, but Ratel has found himself with a pretty massive lead.
1,200 to his name, so he's walking around with a few extra
pop
item
change.
components. Isaac, Doe, Salem, all here against Sonyy. Doe's taking the Sonic Wave here, just forcing Sonyy away from the safety of his turret as ROLSTER look to knock this one down, adding more gold to the pockets of the squad.
And right now, there's just converging upon the mid lane. Corki package is available, but rightly so. I think he's not going to go for this.
Whoa! Huge engage from Salem, Protobelt, and the rest of the combo on the carliTo. But he's got a hero's entrance and he's out of there. Sonyy, I don't think he wants to be there anymore. Deathmark goes down. That's the Baron laner gone for TSM.
This was the wrong sense of tag teaming in. TSM, their support gets out. He goes in for the ultimate, and Sonny's like, I'm in. Wait, where's the rest of my team?
I know you guys can't see it, but Riku is just laughing her ass off in the analyst
for
desk.
it.
But the rest of TSM looking for another engage right now. Salem taken critically low, has to flash away, but thanks to the unbreakable chain, he's going to survive.
A few glancing blows as they're walking on by through the mid lane. TSM ROLSTER not able to do too much, but in the meantime, Mikey is just ignoring the rest of his team. I know in the interview on the day one after the tribe win, they were talking about, hey, if one of us gets down, it's on the rest of us to get the other people hyped, get them motivated, keep them in the game. And while all that's happening, Mikey's like, I'm just going to go for this top tier 1. I'm going to keep us relevant and try to keep it even.
Hey man, it's like the solo queue strat. If you see someone not doing too well, are you going to really try to burn resources to get them back in the game?
Oh, I'm spamming emotes. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you use your lane, you're getting emoted.
You cut off the poison armed, and then you made sure that the rest of the body is healthy.
I don't know if I want to do that to my teammate. You know, I'll emote them, but I want to motivate them to keep them in the game. If they just AFK, they're gone.
Hey, I mean, you can always surgically reattach that on back.
Well, it didn't work last game for ROLSTER with Ratel, and now this time around, they don't have to do much for the rest of their team. This is a Ratel now going over to TSM, and they can drop this in mid. The minions are here, they can go for this.
Watch for Salem.
Oh.
Huge engage, right onto Sonyy here, but that's just the tank. He can just lock him down with the Cataclysm. Kick onto Mikey, just kicks him back. ROLSTER, they're gonna, holy crap, they just burned down that Rift Herald, didn't even get a chance to put a charge or a dent into the turret.
Yeah, that was a fight for fight. The Rift Herald, like you said, didn't go down, and there's still a dragon. Have to look at what the summoner spell economy looks like right now, because there's a lot of ultimates missing.
Oh, okay, Tetis has to get out of there, flash away. Nunu's tanky, he tries to spice it so he can get out. Mikey's in the back line, he's got the playful trickster to be able to disengage from the fight. Salem critically low, but nobody on ROLSTER goes down.
Okay, this was a sloppy few moments for both of these teams. I think getting down and dirty in the mud, they're gonna reset, they're gonna redeploy out onto the map, and we're gonna get a take 2 of this one. I know you're a little bit into film, Ralpha. Let's see how this dragon fight goes again when we get to see it, because that was just a lot of everybody trying to throw haymakers and just barely missing on their opponent.
Probably no time for that, but watch where Isaac is right now. He's snuck behind enemy lines. He's waiting for a flank. The rest of TSM funneling into the choke point, and now Isaac will make his move. A lot of crowd control into the back line of TSM. Here comes Isaac. Where is Pertroni? He's looking for his mark. The death mark onto him, but the flash over the wall allows Pertroni to escape and disengage from the fight. The backliner for TSM still alive, so he could put a lot of damage into the front line of ROLSTER. Isaac has already blown the most of his burst damage, and he can't do anything. He can't contribute to the rest of the fight. TSM, Ratel looking for a miracle engage, but he just gets eviscerated.
And carliTo with the last bits of HP is able to walk away. TSM, they get a team fight victory, and they get the Drake. This is a huge nail in the coffin. We're talking about how even this game has been. It's not been as clean as maybe we would have expected, but TSM, they're finding win after win after win.
Take a look at that Axe replay off battery and just watch how ROLSTER were trying to set up for this flank from Isaac. It almost looked good, too good to be true, but Pertroni able to quickly flash away from danger, reposition for the rest of the fight.
This was almost picture perfect from what we would have expected from ROLSTER. They got a flank off, check. They got immediate solo laners to try and find effectively for this fight, check. But the damage was just not there. Isaac immediately got burned out. He wasn't able to find a kill. And the fact that Pertroni on this AD carry, we saw him yesterday, we've seen him in the Wild Tour playing so aggressively and allowed to play with that positioning. It's just so impressive. And now, I mean, ROLSTER, how do they activate the rest of the team? They need to get Ratel back in. They need for him to be a threat. Otherwise, that backline is feeling free to do whatever they want.
And I think that's a huge overarching narrative for Pertroni this entire Horizon Cup journey, because we saw him yesterday in this series playing that vein. I know there are 13,000 gold, and there's a lot of times where he would flash forward trying to look for the condemn.
But he found a kill.
But he would find kills sometimes. And in this game, Pertroni is dancing on the line between life and death. Potentially game-winning or game-losing. But every time, it seems like he's coming out on top. He's got another engage. Death mark onto carliTo, but that's just the Galio. That's just the tank. So it's okay. All the burst damage going onto one of the frontliners means TSM have nothing to fear for Pertroni.
Yeah, yet again, the support for TSM putting up a fantastic performance. Now without that death mark and without the Dragon's Rage as well. A lot of tools gone for ROLSTER to find a little bit of lethality here. Ratel is just going to slice and dice his way out of that fight. Doe goes in, but without a kick, I don't see much happening here for ROLSTER. It is just a fight for mid priority, as now ROLSTER are going to start to cheat down into the spot lane. Let Isaac get a little bit of alone time there.
Gold lead is still even for ROLSTER, so the game is not over for them nowhere near soon. Ratel
Wait a minute.
absorbing a chum the waters from Mikey. Salem looking for the re-engage. Isaac is still splitting onto the backside, so it's a 5v4. Mikey has found Luna. Just a couple more auto attacks from Luna. Might be able to answer the 1v1, but the stasis there. He still has to play full trickster. Meanwhile, the rest of TSM are winning out on the isolated 4v3. Isaac has arrived to the party. He's looking for a fish. He's looking to just lock him down. He tries to dash through him, but Isaac knows. Cool guys don't look at explosions. He walks away as he's now hunting for the rest of TSM. Has Death Mark available for the rest of TSM. They go for a cheese push play. Okay, Pertroni just throwing out the calling. Sonyy with the swag, flag, and dash. Isaac is able to escape.
ROLSTER, they get a little bit of fish and chips on the way out, but TSM, a huge win. They get the turret. They sandwich them in between the turret there, and they find more and more of those kills. I think ROLSTER, they feel a little bit discombobulated right there, right? Ratel had the chum the waters on top of him, and it forced out the Corky Valkyrie. So no mobility, no way to get out of this fight. We get to see the rest of this as they just lock them down under the turret. They still have a minion there, so a lot of that fortification is gone. And this is just an overall huge win for TSM as they're continuing to show scaling efforts. That's dope. God, Dragon's Rage, Stasis popped. TSM's, they're going to find the enemy jungler for ROLSTER, and that could be the Baron immediately now.
You have Nunu, which means you have Consume. Even if Smite doesn't come up in time, you'll still have enough true damage. But they're just looking for the re-engage again. They found Salem, chunk the waters, massive knock-up from Salem. He's trying to get out of there. He's trying to look to tell the tale, but there's no tale to tell when you're dead. TSM still on the front line, still on the pursuit. Isaac looking for a re-engage with the death mark onto Sonyy. He's able to take out the Baron laner, but you still have to wait. Pertroni's dead. Luna's able to find him. Now Mikey and the rest of the TSM have to be on the retreat. ROLSTER still holding their ground.
Just so close. They take a little bit too long. And with Isaac and with Luna untouched, it allows for Ratel to come in and sweep the rest of this fight. TSM getting a little bit too eager into that, and they come out with what feels like a slap on the hand, a slap on the wrist, pushes them away. It keeps us even in the game. A dragon now here for ROLSTER. What feels like a saving grace, a little bit of some room to breathe for the Korean squad now.
Yeah, I know that the Brazilian fans were definitely feeling hopeful in the fight. Fight after fight was looking good for them, but then the gold, you have to keep in mind, the gold lead was still always even. ROLSTER were keeping their item power spikes in line and on par with TSM. You look at this re-engage from TSM, but then watch how Luna's able to contribute beautifully to this fight.
It's all about that Alistar, which you got to see to great effect in another couple of series earlier today. Took so much damage, all of those abilities being used on Alistar with the Aftershock,
Right.
Snow Plate, just means that he is not able to be killed. And the longer that this team fight goes on, it allows for Luna, it allows for Ratel to get into that backline. Just a few mistakes coming out from TSM. Definitely a very, Hispanic thing to do, a very South American thing. You need to just get very hyped, maybe get a little too into it, get a little too lost in the sauce, but I appreciate the heart that we're seeing from the Brazilians.
Hey man, I mean, we do that on the daily in our
True.
Q game.
Very
we
true.
start getting hyped, we're like, boom, 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 let's go. But then you gotta calm down. Now TSM, neither team is in a commanding state. Even with that win and ROLSTER now getting the gold lead, it's still not a surefire win. Any fight can be game-changing. Beautiful death push right onto Salem. He's going for the re-engage. Ratel is going to slice and dice away the backline. Pertroni popping the stasis. No death mark is going to reach him. He flexes backwards, and there's no more mobility to reach him. Pertroni can now fire back, but Salem with another knock-up onto the backline. Pertroni dashing forward. He finds Luna, but he's also traded back. It's going to be up to Mikey, but Doe will find him. The smite comes down. Another auto attack, but the stasis will come through. Mikey, can he get a Trident Blazer? Oh my goodness, there it is. But Isaac is still alive, and you have to deal with the set. The knockup. ROLSTER will prevail and ace TSM.
They just barely get out of that. It is the mid and support Salem. They take so much extra damage, and it is Luna who pumps out the massive amount of damage in that last team fight. They are not able to find any kills, and despite Pertroni able to play aggressive, despite him able to dash forward, they're not able to find another kill. They're not able to even this out. And I don't know if they'll be able to get this inhibitor, but ROLSTER, they're trying to keep this competitive. The gold has been even for the most part, but has been slowly creeping in their advantage. And in this replay, we'll get to see what I think TSM, a little bit, miscommunication as to what was happening. Sonyy going in the complete opposite direction of his team.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that his eyes were on Luna, trying to pick up the Core King, getting ready to Cataclysm in, but the rest of TSM saw Walking Crocodile. It's like, okay, let's just take this guy out. That's one less frontliner to deal with. That's one less thing to worry about here for TSM, but then the rest of the backliners get scattered like the wind. Mikey's being pushed back by Doe here. Pertroni had to use everything and then some to escape from all the diving threats, and it still wasn't enough.
Is so close for them. And now we're in this game, Rafa, where TSM not quite out of the weeds yet. They still need to finish the game, and ROLSTER do not want to go out of fight. We saw this in game 1. They were trying so hard. They were still looking for angles, still playing these team fights out excellently. And now, eyes on, for me at least, the supports. carliTo and Salem have had such an influence on this series, and it's all on this Alistar to try and help the Korean squad that were undefeated previously to get them into this series with a first win.
Okay. carliTo thought that he wasn't on a war in the way that Isaac threw out the shadows. It was more of a, I think they're here, rather than, yeah, I know you're here.
It's a check.
And so, but the sweeper is gonna reveal that TSM, they weren't fooling anyone. ROLSTER were very well aware that TSM were waiting for another Death Brush, but we have this Infernal Dragon coming up in the next 15 seconds.
Yes. Talking about this is the heart of Brazil versus the minds of Korea. And we're talking about this. TSM, they love to team fight, but they are going to lose out on these waves. You look on the opposite sides, there are 2 objectives up. There's Baron and the Elder Infernal. If they can't clean up these waves, it's on ROLSTER. They can say, look, you're going to lose out eventually. No pack here. Mikey!
But Doe pops the stasis, dodges out on all the bursts from Chum the Waters. Mikey's gonna use his own stasis to avoid the death mark. carliTo re-engaging with the hero's entrance. Salem taking a lot of damage. Pertroni over the wall with the culling. He's not taking any damage. Beautiful 5-man taunt from carliTo. TSM looking for the closing door onto this series. Can they put in the damage? Salem has been found. Ratel answers back on the Mikey, but Pertroni is still alive. TSM, can they take down this crocodile? There's no one else there to save him. Elder Dragon is still on the line, but Isaac and Doe are still alive. They can fight back. Deathmark is available once again. Gets a lot of damage down onto Tetis. Pertroni has to pop the stasis while Isaac take it back. Look at the damage that's coming out from Isaac. He's keeping all these 4 members here by himself.
Chase them out of the base. Isaac is here. It looks like Doe is not going to continue going, but the Living Shadow comes out. Sonyy, oh my god. He's getting really close. Sonyy not able to go down there, but a good team fight victory for TSM. They continue to keep it even. And now, all of those waves are starting to crash. ROLSTER, they were able to reset. They were able to come back with a teleport to try and keep this competitive. But now, the inhibitors are being taken down. Another turret being just slaughtered by all of these cannon minions. This is dangerous territory. TSM still showing signs of life, like we saw in game 1 of this series. It is on Doe. Can he try and find the Smite Steal? It's going to be incredibly difficult against a Nunu.
Package is available for Luna. Teleport is also available for Ratel. Doe keeping his eyes on this Dragon. Salem, can he get into the pit and cause enough disruption? 2-man knockup. Doe has the Sonic Wave. They're trying to burn him down. Chum the Waters is keeping Ratel at bay. Beautiful kick from Doe, trying to disrupt the rest of TSM and their chances of taking this series into their own hands. Sonyy is gone. Beautiful package is going to corral the rest of TSM. Mikey's on. Pertroni on his last legs. He's got the revive, but can he come up and fight the fight that TSM need? No! Even a quadra kill from ROLSTER's Luna will be the death sentence for TSM.
The package comes on through. It is a quadra kill for the AD carry of ROLSTER Y. And Korea, despite all of the mishaps that have happened this game, are fighting tooth and nail. They get the Elder Infernal Dragon, the most important objective here. And with death timers being so long, I expect them to move over to the Baron and take this and try to put the nail in the coffin and find themselves in game 1 or game 2 here.
TSM,
Wow.
worse, have been so close in this game 2 to just taking this series and walking away, getting ready, going into game group day 4, day 5. But ROLSTER say no, it is not over yet. Now, technically, this game 2 hasn't been decided yet, but a lot of major objectives and buffs are now on their hands. Elder Infernal, Baron. Only one of them is forever and the other temporary, but it could be enough for ROLSTER to bring us to a game 3.
It's those small edges, right, as we get further into the game. Everybody's about max level, unless you're looking at some of the other members. The only people missing are the support and jungler here for ROLSTER. For TSM, I mean, it's not going to make too much of a difference, right? The levels are nice, the items are nice, but it's down to execution. It's these last final moments. Do TSM have that resiliency to come back in a game that has been against all odds for them? Or is TSM or ROLSTER going to close this out? They're trying to find Tetis, but he's pretty tanky, brother.
Dimitri, in game 1 of their grand finals, TSM did a base race. Sonyy is prepping the waves right now. They have to defend against ROLSTER, who are trying to walk into the base right now. Sonyy is still walking onto the Baron. They're committing to it, but ROLSTER just gonna burn down the Nexus. They say, TSM, there's no base race this time around. We're going to game 3.
Okay, you know, you were talking about the game that, you know, the best of 7 that they had in the Wild Tour to get here at the Horizon Cup. In game 2, they actually tried a very similar backdoor tactic, and similar to game 2, the Greed was punished. You don't draw 3 cards, you actually just lose the game there. So the Nexus explodes, and TSM, I like the smiles. I'm glad that they tried to go for something a little bit cheeky, but ROLSTER, they keep their heads cool, they keep them screwed on, and it allows for them to find a game 2 victory. I'm glad that they were able to kind of shake off the game 1 jitters, and now we're in a game 3 here, Rafa.
ROLSTER showing that they are not going down without a fight.
Thank you.
But for TSM, there's still things, if you're Brazilian fan or just, you know, in general, a TSM fan rooting for them here. There's things to look forward to in game 3, because even when ROLSTER were keeping them competitive in the mid game, a lot of the way that Pertroni was playing around a lot of those threats was absolutely beautiful.
It's all about the marksman in this series, right? We're talking about all these different members finally coming together. And Pertroni, talking about it as aggressive AD carry, well, Luna was there also pumping out all the damage. And that's why we got to see things like the Fizz and the Zed punish the aggressive positioning, punish that availability for them. And this just means we have an incredibly exciting series. We have mid laners who are going from TF to Zed to now Fizz. I don't know what else we could do. This is an amazing series already, and I'm excited now to finish it out.
Yeah, with an exciting series means many exciting things to break down, which means we're going to go back to the analyst desk to hear more about how Game 2 went from Degon, Smax, and Riku.
Thank you very much, Rafa. Dimitri, I loved that point there. It is a very diverse draft. It's a very diverse strategy, and it now has us 1-1. The only thing that isn't different yet. Wins for both here. And so as we take a look at these highlights here, Riku, KT, they're able to pull it back here.
I know, it's crazy. It was so incredibly close. It was actually just too close, and it boiled down to the last fight there with the Elder Drake. And I just want to touch upon a little bit over the Corki versus the Lucian. I mean, looking at Pertroni, he performed really, really well on the Lucian. I mean, I just want to commend first TSM. There were so many instances where they 90% commit to a fight and just no one dies. And I commend that ability to identify which fights are 100% winnable so they can go all in and dash aggressively and re-engage. And that's exactly what we saw at the initial team fights. But then when we look at the AD carries, Corki versus Corki versus Lucian. I mean, scaling-wise, it would have been still okay as a Lucian. But, you know, Pertroni went for more of that utility route, not the crit build, so you're going to eventually fall off. So even if TSM play their teamfight cards right, they won't be able to catch up on the damage.
Late game scaling damage is not quite the same for this Lucian build compared to that Corki. And I mean, Luna on this Corki is just the stuff of wonder as well. But the team fights overall, not just Luna, the Zed as well, dealing so much damage and finding amazing flanks in the midst of all the chaos that TSM is throwing at ROLSTER's squad. Very, very impressive stuff to play that assassin style and still get in and out, still find all these assassination targets. Very well done for Isaac.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me because when we talk about this team, we thought about this team, we're like, okay, Luna is going to dish out damage. We're going to build up Ratel. Didn't really spend too much time talking about Isaac here, Smack.
No, not actually that much. I mean, it was all this late game damage in the late game team fights that really made ROLSTER pop off with the Corki of Luna. I mean, we got that wicked quadra kill later on as well. But this Zed was putting in a lot of work in that early game. And even despite ROLSTER having some shaky moments at that stage of the game as well, where TSM were popping off, they were getting the same level of early power that we saw from them in game 1, the Zed was still working and it was scaling, most importantly.
There it is, live look here with TSM, trying to figure out, hey, something there we don't want to give away, we don't want to do. ROLSTER still a little bit more composed after that last one there. And, you know, with this win here, I think it's a good time for us to set up possible playoff implications on what this means for these two teams, Max.
So the rule when it comes to the group stage and getting out of there into the playoffs, unless there are tiebreakers, is you have to win 2 series because 3 teams of the 5 make it out, leaving 2 remaining. So with both of these teams, ROLSTER and TSM at 1 win, they're both looking to get that second win to push them forward into that conversation where Dakun Gaming already lies in wait for them. That second win, really, really important, especially considering Tribe and SBTC are still winless.
Right, and with TSM specifically, it's because their opponent that's left.
They only have SBTC left to take on, and SBTC seeming to be in a little bit of a slump. If TSM can get that win, they will sort of be waiting to see how the rest of the results play out as soon as they take on SBTC, but it will give them that sigh of relief knowing that they have that second win if they can get it here in Game 3.
Yeah, it's just so incredibly important at the 3rd game that we're going to be having in this series. And yeah, imagine there's only, 2 days left for the Horizon Cup, and it's just getting more intense, getting more even intense. And with that, I really love how the series has turned out. All of the 5v5s have been incredibly, incredibly close.
Speaking of how close it was, let's go back to that quadra kill, that late game quadra kill one more time here, Smack.
Luna has just been such an exciting player. So many pop-offs in today's series and in yesterday. It is my current belief that he is the best Corki in the tournament from the Dragon Lane. And just watch this package one more time. Beautiful stuff, flanking the entire enemy team and on a marksman as well. It definitely helps that he has Guardian Angel, an item that I think is super, super top-notch on this champion because it allows you to go for those plays where you're diving in with the package well beyond your limits. But even still, item or no item, he's pumping out the damage, and it's making me so excited for this new marksman on the squad.
Yeah, I really love the positioning coming from Luna. I mean, he's always waiting for big ult cooldowns on the side of TSM before he aggressively packages. And I love how you mentioned that, Smax. He's basically flanking, using the package like an assassin and trying to be out of the radar from TSM before he fully commits to a fight.
All right, time to put you both on the spot. Earlier again, those predictions, 2-0 and 2-1 for ROLSTER. Are you sticking by it, Smax?
Well, I'm already wrong. I already went with a 2-0, so that's completely out the window. But I'm going to stick with the same team that I had at the top of the day. I'm going to stick with ROLSTER. I'm very hyped for Luna on the Corki. As I mentioned before, he still has that Misfortune pocket pick that only he has played. Maybe he can pull that one out. And Isaac's Zed play was just standout. Awesome stuff. So I'm still excited for ROLSTER. I'm sticking with him.
Riku?
Okay, I'm going to change my mind a little bit here. I'm going for 2-1 TSM this time. And I really have been loving what I'm seeing. I'm hearing Rafa scream in my headphones. And I believe in the team fights. I believe in their late game and how they're able to match the fighting power of ROLSTER.
Well, I know 2 guys that can't wait for the game to start. That's Rafa and Alk, so let's send it back on over to them for the conclusion of this series.
I love that Riku is jumping on to the TSM hype train, and Alk Battery, she hasn't been wrong on the day so far.
Look, okay, she was already on the TSM hype train from the Tribe series. It was me and Kangas. We had predicted Tribe to 2-0, and she was the only TSM believer on the desk. She was like, TSM are going to win this series. She's also predicted that they would go 2-1 similarly. And now, the last person who flip-flopped, to my knowledge, was me on the Thunder Talk game versus Team Secret. I ended up winning that, obviously. And now Riku has joined the team. Thank you. The coin flippers are back. And now, Rafa, we are in Game 3 of a series that I think a lot of people would have thought ROLSTER Y, after yesterday's performance, would have just kind of swept through this one.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how TSM buckle down and kind of iron out some of the mishaps that happened in Game 2, because despite it being super close, it came down to just a battle of milliseconds and micro interactions and just fights and decisions for ROLSTER. TSM going into Game 3 here, Dimitri. The stakes are huge going, and the implications for the rest of this group A.
Would you say that it came down to a 0.1 effect? I would say similar to a Taking a look at the draft, we are finally back where TSM are on blue side, which again, like I noted, it was their first blue side win in this series in the first game. So again, following trends, trying to find another victory. They're kind of mixed bag on red side thanks to their Tribe series, but otherwise, they're looking pretty good. And now TSM, they have eaten the Fiora ban this time around. Things to note. Again, Renekton has made it through, but that Camille that we've been seeing is on the table and immediately snapped up for them.
However, for ROLSTER, despite winning Game 2, they still are going to respect carliTo's Galio.
No Galio, please. Take this away from them. Thank God.
He got a 5-man taunt in that second game, and had there been another fight like that, could have been game winning. We could have already been moving on to the next series of the day.
We could have, but we are here, and honestly, I would do it with nobody else but my man, Ratel. And now we're here in the second part of the first part for ROLSTER. Renekton is here, and that probably means that Do is going to pick either Nunu or Lee Sin. This has just been the trends that we've been seeing throughout the tournament and throughout for this series just as in general. Do you think we were going to see another Corki? Because it's been kind of a mainstay for the most part and has been what Mikey kind of attributed later on in their series that they were talking about for Red Side. Sometimes we just see a lot of the full AD compositions, and Corki really starts to help round out that kind of stuff.
Yeah, helps flush out a little bit more magic damage to the profile of your damage composition, making sure that you don't give your enemies an easy pass to just stack armor for the rest of the game.
Gives you some insurance as well, late game.
It reminds me of Luca Babs talking about all of her amazing throws back on the C Championships.
I do like that. That might just be a team secret special, but they're not even here. Rafa, they already played their series. They already won. We're here for TSM and for ROLSTER Y Line, who we've been seeing Jarvan also kind of been a TSM staple. I wonder what this is going to look like now without a Galio and without some other pieces that we've been seeing from them to really kind of flesh out this composition.
For ROLSTER, what do they answer back here? Lee Sin walking it in for Do, just relying on the mobility of this bruiser to make quick reaction plays, looking to kick and disrupt any threats that are trying to dive onto Luna Xayah. But this could mean that maybe we'll see a Corki from Isaac to round it out once again, adding more disruption. They know that a Rakan could still come in for ROLSTER.
I think the Rakan is going to have to be the choice here, unless they pick another support. Yeah, exactly. So for ROLSTER, I like their composition. It's very fluid as to what it can do. I think Xayah is the only one that kind of is a pain point for me, as this champion doesn't really like to go forward. And you look at the rest of their team, Renekton can play a little bit far back, although that's not obviously where you want him to be. Isaac can play either role as a backline assassin or kind of a bruiser. And Rakan obviously is one of the most hard champions to kind of lock down as we get further into the game. So for TSM, they need to commit to their draft. They've already said, hey, we want to go forward. We want a relentless pursuit into their team. And for them, it looks like Diana for Mikey is going to be their choice.
Go back to what worked in Game 1, right?
Yeah.
Once the moon
It's almost copy-paste of their draft.
Yeah, it's literally swap out the Braum for the Galio, and you've got a rinse and repeat of Game 1, which is what TSM won with in this series against ROLSTER. Now, Corki's still available if you want to get some ways to disengage and disrupt the engage and the dive potential that TSM have, but Orion is just as good as that as well.
Yes, I was actually going to say that Braum basically makes this ROLSTER Y comp very sad. You got a lot of melee champions that the ultimate from Braum is going to be very kind of problematic to deal with. And Xayah, who we've already spoken about, is going to have trouble in this team fight. If you put up the shield, the Unbreakable, those feathers are going nowhere. You're never going to get a Blade Caller that's going to be relevant unless you're forcing your flash forward. And here for Isaac, another control mage within the Orianna here. A little bit of late game insurance yet again for them. I am a little bit worried. ROLSTER Y need to be on the ball when it comes to their positioning. Otherwise, we see such heavy engage tools from TSM. It's going to be on Salem and for Isaac to control those choke points, make sure that Orianna is set up for success. And with that, those are the keys to success, I think, for me, when you're looking against this TSM roster.
Down to the wire here. ROLSTER and TSM, Game 3. ROLSTER win this series, they cement themselves within the top 3 of the group. But TSM, they have a chance to make a run for the top 3 as well. At this point, more than likely, Dakun is going to walk away as the first seed of the group and getting that guaranteed playoffs for third. But TSM, they could still make it out as the second or third seed, which would have to compete for another spot against one of the second or third seeds over from Group B. TSM win this series, provide not only a little bit more relief, but also an actual path into playoffs.
Yeah, I know the analyst test was talking about it a little bit before, but you have to look at their strength of schedule, right? If TSM win here, they only have to face SBTC, which much to maybe some of the SEA broadcasters.
You say it so easily, but
they are in struggle bus mode right now. They are looking for any kind of win at this point. And you look at ROLSTER, they still have to face up against Dakun. They still have to face up against Tribe. Tribe is probably one of the easier ones to face out of those two. No, there's just no way around that. North American representative. I'm not gonna mince words.
We're kind of struggling ourselves to just, we're wincing through the pain at the moment, but it is what it is. And to be fair, it's only been one Tribe series so far.
True.
So
we'll get one on the next series, but we do need to finish this one, Rafa. We do need to get in. And matching emotes for TSM, I'm glad that we can see the Jhin flourishing here as we start the game off, Rafa.
Wonderful stuff from TSM. Looking for Thor. Damn, you got me.
There you go.
ROLSTER and TSM. Game 3, ladies and gentlemen. And now we have to set up kind of the stakes here. Ratel on this Renekton has been doing a great job within the mid-game and late-game fights, no matter how much pressure he has received at the expense of his laning phase being a deficit, because TSM are putting so many resources into trying to shut him down. But between him and Doe, they still make a powerful 2v2 skirmishing duo. So if Doe ever meets Tetis on the Baron side of the map, that 2v2 skirmish could go in ROLSTER's way.
Agreed. I think there is just one thing, talking about Ratel, coming into the day, he was being touted as a really excellent top laner, especially after that series versus SBTC. We saw a lot of great things coming out from him on the Camille and on the Riven. This time on the board, he is 3 games deep into Renekton. Mixed bag of results there, and we were talking about that game 1, right? Even though in the mid to late game we saw him still able to do his job, Renekton is a pretty simple champion when you get down to brass tacks. You do one thing, see champion, kill champion, jump into that back line, do something. And we're talking about bucking trends. Well, TSM, they're finally getting pushing mid.
And for the first time, we see Doe putting an early gank onto Sonyy, but he dodges out beautifully thanks to that hook shot. Took a lot of HP in the stage, but Isaac getting re-engaged. First blood to TSM in game 3.
It's been game 1, it's been game 2. Isaac's control of the mid lane with Doe has been fantastic, but flashing in Doe, I don't know if you can make that one happen. TSM escort their mid laner out of it and find a first blood here for Mikey.
1v1 between Luna and Pertroni. Luna comes out on top. He has the minion advantage, being able to push Pertroni back. Luna is not going to be...
Look at where they are!
Oh my god. Salem? Okay, Salem is here. We almost had a little bit of a dive situation, but there was no minion wave to really make it as potentially successful as TSM would have liked, but taking a replay back and looking at how Tetis immediately capitalizing on Isaac's own.
Yes, this is the first time we've seen this. We got to see this first blood. There's something happening in the picture-in-picture. Sonyy is just straight up bullying Doe out of the river, and despite getting the scuttle in the river, it's going to be nice for them. It's going to keep them even, but right now, what we're watching is Isaac needing to keep Mike honest. That was something that we noted in game 1 of the series with the cheatering of someone like a TF or the Galio. Obviously, we didn't see it in mid lane, but as soon as Mikey hits level 5, I expect for TSM to set up for a dive on the spot lane, have Tetis come down, and you see this right now. After Mikey hits level 5, they're going to try and get push in mid lane, help Tetis with this, and they're just collapsing out of mid.
Yeah, Isaac doesn't have summoner spells. They just collapse the Cataclysm. Everyone is throwing all the resources, all the ultimates to make sure Isaac goes down.
Sonyy has priority. He says, look, I'm just going to drop my top wave, and we're going to keep punishing the mid laner here for ROLSTER Y.
TSM, 1 minute away from the 2 neutral objectives spawning, Rift Herald and the first dragon, which is going to be Ocean. ROLSTER, being a composition that does have a lot of late game insurance in this Orianna, can feel comfortable about opting for the dragon, whereas TSM, yeah, they can tango in the late game somewhat, but with the way that they're snowballing, I imagine they want to prioritize the Rift Herald.
Yes, we already see that they're making their moves over. I expect for Lucian, when Pertroni comes out of base here, to probably just straight up walk mid lane. And they're going to go for this. I think this should be interesting. We'll have to see how Doe kind of paths out as we get an axe. This was really good. TSM, they did go a little bit early. I think they would have wanted for Mikey to have his ultimate available for that and get maybe both him and Doe. But beggars can't be choosers. They still end up getting a kill. And TSM, they're going to commit to this Baron. I don't know if ROLSTER, they're not even starting up the Dragon. This could be a double objective take here for TSM.
Yeah, they're going to be late to the party. They're now finally making their way towards the Dragon, but a little late on the play. The Dragon will go down, but this Rift Herald is going to be swiftly taken by TSM. They're going to have a couple, maybe a few seconds here to make an advantageous move on the map.
Yeah, Ratel doesn't have any kind of ways to farm. He's just going to walk mid lane. They're going to break open this top tier 1 turret.
This is great.
This is great. I mean, it's great for the side of Sonyy and for all of them because they're going to cash in on this gold, but they're losing a lot. They're sacrificing so much. Pertroni and carliTo, yes, they are grouping with their team, but on the opposite side, something that we saw in Game 2 was so scary. Luna is now picking up so much gold. That is a turret. That is 3 plates for the Xayah. And now all eggs in the basket here for ROLSTER Y as we get further and further into this game. Can this Xayah pull off a pop-off performance?
Once again, while TSM, we give them praises as an engage from Salem, trying to link up with Isaac, burning the shockwave, getting a nice bit of burst damage down onto Pertroni. You have to note that ROLSTER, despite falling behind in terms of tempo for TSM on the map play, they are still keeping even in terms of gold, maybe just a few hundred gold shy of TSM's minor advantage at the moment, just because of how good, how cerebral ROLSTER's play on the map is of just making sure that they're maximizing their gold intake.
Yeah, I want to make sure that everybody at home also knows why this is so significant, why we keep bringing this up. We'll have to bring it up later as Isaac has to flash out from the Cataclysm. Brazil has not been that dominant of a region when it comes to mobile esports. And so here, coming up against Korea, coming up against ROLSTER Y, who have put up a really fantastic performance on the day 1, or on day 2, it's so cool to see them now have a potential to kind of lock in their spot in playoffs in the Horizon.
Sonyy getting locked up here, kick, Dragon's Rage into the Resonating Strike. Sonyy trying to use the Hextech Ultimatum, flashing away. Can he dodge out of the next Resonating Strike? No! Doe will take him down.
Knocks him straight down, and all of that gold that they've now funneled into them. You see right now, Ratel is relatively even. So, ROLSTER Y, we're talking about how even they're keeping it. They're now going to, yet again, split the map, give now gold over to Mikey, but it is AD carry central. We're talking about other teams who are funneling their jungler. But this time for ROLSTER, they have been finding time and time success going into that bot lane, letting Luna get all this gold, and hopefully it is on this Xayah, on this AD carry, to pay their team back with a win.
Solid 1,300 gold for Luna here, which means that it's just one step closer to that Infinity Edge power spike. It's going to come in a lot sooner, whereas Pertroni, he hasn't finished a first item completed yet. It's just a VF Sword and a Stinger, which means I'm assuming that the Solari Charge Blade will come in first before he completes the Infinity Edge. But ROLSTER, if they want to force a team fight, they technically will have a stronger marksman on their side.
We actually saw this in the last series, where I myself, me and Smax were actually kind of talking about it behind the stage, where a lot of teams so far we're seeing they start up on getting the BF sword just because it's so much AD, and in the lane you obviously start with a long sword, but then immediately going for the Solari Charge Blade on the second item, rushing that as a second, making sure that you have all of those Charge Blade stacks. The true damage is nothing to scoff at as well, so it is a nice little bit of temporary damage you're going to trade. And obviously when you have the Infinity Edge to boot right next to it, that second item power spike is massive as a wake up.
Mikey potentially sniffing out a sneak attack from ROLSTER as they were waiting around the wings in that jungle quadrant. Mikey making sure that he doesn't overextend and give ROLSTER an easy advantage. Next two objectives. Second Rift Herald. Isaac
right on in.
Getting locked in. No flash available. Shockwave right onto Pertroni. A beautiful re-engage from Salem. Locks up the main damage dealer. TSM and Doe is the one that follows through, finishing TSM's chances. Now, the re-engage though from TSM. Beautiful moonfall from Mikey is going to answer back. And TSM, just as I say, when Pertroni goes down, you still have to deal with Diana, who's ready to come
as
reinforcement.
Super close timing there. Isaac just barely didn't have his flashback up, but is able to get out thanks to that massive shockwave. Stops two members.
The wrong way! Oh, carliTo disaster, Mikey! He's gonna have to get out of this one. Thankfully, Luna doesn't have enough damage, but the rest of ROLSTER able to capitalize on a mistake from TSM. Rift Herald will be secured by the Korean powerhouses. And now, ROLSTER looking to make money moves on the map.
RY, they're going to get the Rift Herald, and they're going to move right into the mid lane. It is time to knock down mid-tier 1. I want that gold. I want cash in hand, hand over fist. They're going to force this. Again, look at where they're moving. Away from the Rift Herald, just trying to protect Luna.
Whoa!
And take this.
Shockwave.
Dogo's in.
Doe, okay, but the concussive blows from carliTo will lock him in place. Stasis, he can't get out. Mikey has the damage to make sure that Doe doesn't get out alive, but a Rift Herald taking down the tier 1 turret in the mid lane from TSM. It was going to open up the map for sure, but now the potential re-engage, potential die.
Oh my god, and look at this. I love this coming out from TSM. They're going to take control of the bot side river. Or TSM. Oh, actually.
Whoa. TSM, relax. ROLSTER are able to just re-engage beautifully, catching out the front line of TSM when they went too far forward. Mikey gets chewed to bits, and ROLSTER are the ones that are on the pursuit.
The amount of wave clear that they have on this side. ROLSTER now in position to take this mid-tier 2, or at least in a bunch of plays. Mid-wave is coming out soon. Looks like they're going to go for a recall here. I don't know if Sonyy is going to be able to do much. Lee Sin is here. Pertroni is here to help. Might just be a trade of the Baron laners. Oh, Ratel flashes.
Whoa, what a kick!
Go!
Lines it up onto Sonyy. Strike from Doe. And Sonyy can't do a thing to finish off Ratel.
Just knocks down those pins set up by Ratel, playing on the nice edge. We get a replay of this mid-fight. And I just want to see, this is a good start for TSM as they're just trying to set themselves up with a dive, but they're missing so many key ultimates. And they've just been a little too over-eager to go for this. And being punished for it. ROLSTER with this fantastic play. Specifically, Salem now having 2 fantastic support games in a row.
TSM are getting caught out again and again. We come back from the replay, and it's just another successful pick from ROLSTER. They are continuously ballooning and accelerating this gold lead into the mid-game off battery.
TSM, I think they're feeling a little bit out of it. They're getting knocked down one by one constantly. It is play after play.
What?
They're going to look for something. Isaac gets the flash right out of it and moves right towards his team. He's shadowing. They're helping him out. More and more gold into the back pocket of ROLSTER Y's AD carry. And without finding a pick, TSM, what's happening in the picture? Ratel.
Sonyy in the 1v1. Ratel comes out on top, though. That's not what you want to see if you are hoping for TSM's chances, but for ROLSTER, they are just taking every single win into their hands, win stride. And now you look back on this series and think, man, ROLSTER, they didn't have anything to worry about. 5,000 gold up.
It was a little bit of deja vu as well, right? Talking about Sonyy on this Camille. You have the Renekton for Ratel. Last time, Sonyy was winning it. And this time around, Ratel finds the victory, finds the 1v1 kill. And that's the Ratel that we had seen on day 2 of ROLSTER, right? Going up against SKCC. This guy was a powerhouse on every single Bruiser top laner that we saw from him. And we're starting to see those colors come back to life here in Game 3 and in Game 2 of this series.
Now, thinking about ROLSTER's composition, the way it scales into the late game, they still have to make sure that they don't get caught out by the team fight engage. TSM, but a shockwave will lock down all the threats and the dives, but Isaac will still fall to TSM. Pertroni dealing with Luna. They called him out. Wait a minute, TSM! Do I dare say it? They're still down 3,000 gold, but they've knocked down 3 from ROLSTER.
All of the carries, it's Doe who can't get into the backline. The Dragon spawning. Salem tries to find an engage, but ROLSTER, you may have gone a little too far.
Ratel is able to answer back. Takes out Pertroni, but Mikey under the turret. Has to be careful. That's one big scary crocodile. You don't want to mess with him. You don't got enough belts. You don't have enough ropes to wrangle this guy down, but a dragon will go over to TSM.
Oh man, it was so close there for ROLSTER. Blinking health bars on the side of TSM. Still gets them a Mountain Drake, a team fight victory, and 3,000 gold be damned. Luna gets caught. Sonyy goes for it, and ROLSTER taking notes from Game 2, starting up the Baron immediately.
7,000 HP. The rest of TSM, I don't know if they have a clue that the Baron is being started. Sony's going to finally face tech, and they're just going to realize that ROLSTER have snuck away with the Baron. carliTo's in there. Do they actually want to take this fight? Tetis, I think you got to get out, brother. The fight is already over. ROLSTER are already walking away with the prize.
They've got the kill. carliTo tries to face check for his team, tries to help them out. ROLSTER, get a kill, get the Baron. We'll push out this mid wave, look to redeploy out of the map. And Rafa, it's been back and forth. We've been talking about TSM looking good into this game, but ROLSTER are continuing to have an iron grip on this last game here.
Still 5,000. Oh, well, 4,000 gold though.
Ish.
Ish.
Give or take.
Give or take a few hundred here. It can always swing and just in the blink of an eye, but for ROLSTER, for them to be able to have the resilience to potentially come back in this series to answer back what seemed to be a dominant performance from TSM. ROLSTER still looking strong even in their main loss. Now Sonyy still here, waiting for a potential pick on the Ratel, but he's gonna pop the Dominus, and Sonyy, I think that's all that we wanted.
Oh, that this is a little bit in trouble. Look at what ROLSTER are doing. They are sitting in the Raptor bush, trying to set up for some kind of play. They're letting Doe actually split push and utilize this Baron. This is fantastic. They're going to continue to choke TSM out of this game, continue to play the map, and without finding a kill, the solo laners here for TSM are scrambling to find an answer.
ROLSTER rotating right back into the mid lane. Still have Baron buff. Doesn't look like they're going to knock down this mid-tier turret, but look at Ratel. He's locked down Sonyy, and Sonyy has to get out. He can't fight this long. He knows that the rest of ROLSTER are rotating on it. Hextech ultimatum. Ratel doesn't even need the crew. He's got it all by himself on the 1v1.
Self-made man yet again. Ratel does it all. He gets killed in lane. He doesn't matter. Guess what? Game 3. He comes in scaling and helps out the rest of his team. And now ROLSTER in a commanding position while TSM are struggling to find gasps of air in Game 3, time and time again, shut out from being able to find an advantage, shut out from objectives. And ROLSTER, with intelligent team fighting, with really awesome positioning, we're seeing those kinds of breaths of life from them we saw in their last series yesterday, and continuing their dominance that we get from the WCK.
And from that Baron buff, Dimitri, suddenly ROLSTER, when they were kind of down, and ahead, or they were ahead only just about 4,000, 3,000 gold. That lead has ballooned now into 6,000. It has tripled their profits just in an instant. 100% return. So now ROLSTER, they're heading into the late game stage of the game where this Elder Infernal Soul will be spawning within the next couple of minutes. Baron buff will be spawning in around the same time. You have to look. If you are TSM, you are hoping to isolate Isaac and Luna and just one-shot them, or it is doomsday for TSM and a victory for ROLSTER.
Massive power spike, I think, here for the side of ROLSTER. Isaac has finished the Saracen race. It is upgraded, it is completely done, and that is, if you are winning at that point, if you can win with that item, that is lights out for TSM, and ROLSTER can close out this series. Pertroni's also switched up the build this time. Instead of going for the Black Cleaver and the Bork with the Soreldas, he's going for a crit-style itemization. And you see right now, they're trying to set up around this mid-tier 1. If they can grab this, TSM can wrestle for control back into the pit, but they're racing to find Pertroni right now.
Yeah, Pertroni is isolated all by himself. Salem just needs the marksman all by himself. Stasis is gonna pop, but I don't think Pertroni's gonna get out of this one alive. The rest of ROLSTER have also collapsed onto the split push attempt that TSM were going for. Tetis trying to buy some time, locking up a couple members in ROLSTER in that Cataclysm, but the rest of TSM are scattered and they're picked up. carliTo still trying to do everything to keep himself on the map, but ROLSTER through thick and thin will prevail through everything that TSM threw at them. They have 5 members strong. It's only Tetis, but 25 seconds on the nearest member of TSM. ROLSTER are looking to end the series right here, right now.
Tetis, he's going for it, he's cutting the wave, but it's just not enough, Rafa. TSM playing the hearts and minds, the hearts of Brazil versus the minds of Korea, end up falling. And the LAN and AM teams, they find a win in the first game of both of their series, but aren't able to close it out. ROLSTER are now 2-0 in this group and are looking poised.
And you can see ROLSTER, there are immediate reactions.
Thank God.
It's a sigh of relief because they know that they were the projected favorites in that series.
Yes.
And you have to give credit to TSM for how much of a fight they put up, but also acknowledging the resilience and the mental fortitude of ROLSTER to bounce back from a game 1. Even look at TSM Pertroni. Good sportsmanship on both teams. The hearts coming out from Pertroni over to the members of ROLSTER Y. They knew it was a damn good series, and, you know, whether you're a Brazilian fan, whether you're a Korean fan, whether you're a Wild Rift Esports fan or just tuning in, you have to give praise to both of these teams, especially ROLSTER for being the victorious ones.
I love to see the faces on ROLSTER, especially after game one. They looked pretty shook. They said, whoa, TSM played really, really well. We're going to have to take these guys pretty seriously if we want to close out this series. I've been loving the player cams here of Horizon Cup. We've also got to see their selfies. Let's see if they can do as good of one as Sengoku did earlier. I'm kind of interested. They got the Oppo phone in hand.
Okay.
He's going to go for a traditional one, throw up some peace signs. You love to see it. They played really excellently, and ROLSTER with some resilience in the back pocket, able to close out a fantastic series and a pretty clean game 3, all things considered.
Thumbs up means a job well done from
Yes.
ROLSTER. Another day in the books. Business as usual here at Alk Battery. And, you know, looking at the implications of this Group A, ROLSTER now cement themselves 2-0. We have to talk about the strength of schedule going up against Dakun Gaming and now Tribe Gaming, both who are going to be our next series later on today. But, you know, when you look at TSM, they're now 1-2. Their last series against SBTC Esports. Is there any hope for that team?
If
I know
first
that's
of
a
all,
loaded
yeah,
question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty loaded question, I will say. If SBTC, if they could try to find some kind of win, they got to do it now. They got to at least try to play upset for some of these other teams. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there because we still have another game after this. And obviously, I think the analyst desk are going to do a fantastic job talking about that.
Well, you know, speaking of our analyst desk, let's send it over to Digon, Smacks, and Riku to break down that final game of the series.
Here, I'm going for 2-1 TSM this time. And I really have been loving what I'm seeing. I'm hearing Rafa scream in my headphones. And I believe in the team fights. I believe in their late game and how they're able to match the fighting power of ROLSTER.
Riku, you would have been 100% right with your original prediction of 2-1. And then you jinxed TSM, and you were wrong. What happened? Welcome back, everyone. Just in case, these are my analysts that broke it down. Riku in the wall, Smacks right here. Let's roll the highlights, Riku. It's all yours.
Yes, it was just, again, everyone played equally crazy. I really love how the theme of the game, or well, of the entire series, was down to micro decisions and micro plays. And when I look back to the entire series as a whole, because, you know, when looking at Game 3, it feels, looking back rather at the first 2 games, Ratel wasn't part of the equation, and TSM would constantly shut down his lane early. But I felt like this time around, most of the early game rotations focused a little bit more towards the mid lane. So we all know once a Renekton gets ahead early, he turns into a big teamfight monster, a big 1v1 monster towards the mid game. And basically, Ratel was a huge problem in this game.
Ratel was so huge, and just as you said, the way that you can team fight from a position of power on this Renekton is just, you know, completely unmatched. You get the point click stun, you get the sustain from the Call to Meek as well, everything you could possibly want, the mobility on top of it. And I really love the way that Alk Battery mentioned that the Seraph's Embrace was completed as well for Isaac, because it makes him so durable on top of having all that damage that comes from the AP stacking too. So just everything in that late game ended up coming into fruition for ROLSTER, and they really out-beasted the beast of the team fights that TSM has shown us all throughout this series.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier, it's like, hey, we were talking about Isaac. You know, we've seen Luna. Where was Ratel specifically in this series? Well, there it is. Renekton shows up, had a huge, huge part in their win. Now, let's take a look at these updated standings, because as they were saying on the casting desk, it means that this Group A is getting very tight. We had talked earlier about winning those 2 series. Well, now Dakun Gaming has won 2. KT ROLSTER has won 2. Ooh, how does this shake up for everyone else here, Smacks?
Well, for Dakun Gaming, they have one more match before they face KT ROLSTER, and that's going to be against Tribe Gaming very soon. So you're not going to want to miss out on that one. There's a very real chance that Dakun Gaming is undefeated going into that matchup against KT ROLSTER, apart from some North American miracles that could happen. If that does occur, then one of these teams is going to face their first loss, and that's going to be really, really huge when it comes to the playoff standings. standings, because if you get that first seed, you're automatically in semis.
All right, well, coming up next, Tribe Gaming does take on group leader Dakun Gaming. As we head for a quick break, everyone, pop open your hopium and listen to the Tribe in our Bose sounds of the game.
I have Ziggs here.
30 seconds on Baron, guys.
Three people at stopwatch. Tix.
Pantheon stunned.
Are you okay, Chuck? We need to walk this.
I ulted.
Yep.
Gonna die here.
I'm walking as fast as I can. Wait. We can win this.
We're not there.
Oh.
Kai'Sa ulted.
Play slow.
Again.
Play slow. Oh, wait, Pantheon winning.
I'm coming. I'm not there.
Yeah. I'm ulting.
Rock on.
I'm flashing out for now. I can go back.
Can we go?
Yeah. Lee Sin's behind. Nice.
Lee Sin Zion.
Honestly, do Baron. Do Baron.
Do you need my TP?
Just play by how it goes.
Yeah.
I woke up to the morning sky first. Baby blue, just like we rehearsed. Would you ride for me? Handshake, one of a kind, homie. I be trying to vibe on the wave. I'm a big vibe on the wave. Look.
It's invisible, but it's always with you. It's the defender of your decisions, the bodyguard of your buffs, the guardian of your greatness on the Rift. It's the Cisco Network, powering every epic moment at the Horizon Cup, so you can go wild on the Rift.